Forget classic standards. Imagine bicolor gazes, skins constellated with marks, or surreal contrasts. These 10 personalities prove that uniqueness is not a genetic error, but a force capable of conquering the world and redefining absolute perfection. Number 10. Ralph Souffrant. Resilience sculpted by destiny. The story of Ralph Souffrant is not just one of meteoric success in the ruthless world of modeling. It is a tale of profound metamorphosis. Imagine a young boy growing up in the dusty neighborhoods of Haiti, bearing the marks of a rare genetic condition on his skin, speckled hyperpigmentation. For many, these dark spots would have been a burden, a source of shame. For Ralph, they became his visual signature, a living work of art. However, the path to the top was not paved with flowers. During his youth, he had to face insistent stares, whispers, and hasty judgments. In a society that often values uniformity, Ralph felt like a stranger in his own body. To regain control, he chose a radical path: physical discipline. He turned to intensive training, transforming every doubt, every insult, into one more rep at the gym. This muscular armor he forged for himself was not just aesthetic, it was spiritual. It was this alliance between his constellated skin and his athletic build that eventually captivated the fashion industry. The day he signed his first contract was proof that what he considered his greatest flaw was actually his greatest asset. Walking for visionary brands like Kanye West's Yeezy, Ralph broke the rules. He doesn't just pose, he tells the story of a man who learned to love his spots like war medals. His lesson is simple but powerful. Difference is the foundation upon which contemporary legends are built. Number 9. Jare Ijealana, the aura of Nigerian purity. In 2018, a photograph traveled around the globe, freezing time for millions of internet users. It was the face of Jare Ijealana, a Nigerian child then only 5 years old. In an instant, she was propelled to the rank of an unprecedented visual phenomenon, often described as the most beautiful girl in the world. But what makes Jare so special? It's not just the symmetry of her features, it's her ethereal aura. Her eyes, of a mystical depth, seem to carry the wisdom of entire generations, while her hair, voluminous and dark, frames her face like an ebony cloud. Jare's appeal does not rely on any marketing artifice or digital retouching. It is an original purity, a beauty that seems to come straight out of an epic African tale. For many art critics, she embodies the perfect intersection between childhood and majesty. However, behind the glamour of social media, Jare's family has managed to keep their feet on the ground. Today, they use this global fame for a much greater cause: the development of education and the arts for Nigerian children. Jare is not just a pretty face on a screen, she has become a symbol of national pride and hope. She reminds us that the light of a soul does not depend on the luxury clothes we wear, but on a serene confidence in one's own identity, even at a very young age. Number 8. Makai Alante Lucky, the gaze of redemption. Makai Alante Lucky's journey is undoubtedly one of the most improbable in fashion history. It all started with a mugshot, a judicial photograph taken in 2016 after an arrest in North Carolina. Within hours, the photo went viral, not for the crime committed, but for the young man's striking gaze. Makai possesses rare iridial heterochromia, one eye of a piercing ocean blue and the other of a deep, earthy brown. This genetic peculiarity fascinated the public, creating a striking contrast against his black skin. Very quickly, modeling agencies looked beyond Makai's troubled past. For him, it wasn't just a career opportunity, it was an unexpected chance for redemption. Moving from a prison cell to the runways of New York Fashion Week requires a discipline that few people possess. Makai had to make a choice: let his past define him, or use his unique look as a bridge to a new life. Today, he does not run from his history. On the contrary, he uses it to show that mistakes along the way are not an end in themselves. His bicolor gaze has become a symbol of hope for many young people from disadvantaged neighborhoods. He proves that beauty can emerge from the darkest places and that personal integrity is built every day. Makai Alante Lucky is living proof that life sometimes offers us a second chance, provided we have the courage to seize it. Number 7. Nyekim Gatwek, the Queen of the Dark. Nyekim Gatwek, originally from South Sudan, is much more than a model. She is a political and cultural icon. Nicknamed the Queen of the Dark, she possesses skin of a black so deep and pure that it seems to absorb and reflect light in an almost supernatural way, recalling the brilliance of obsidian. In a world where colorism rages and light skin is often privileged, Nia Kim had to lead a fierce struggle to impose herself. Her story is marked by incredible resilience. She often tells of how a taxi driver once suggested she bleach her skin for $10,000. Her response was a proud laugh and an affirmation of self that went viral on social media. For Nia Kim, her skin is not an absence of light, but a luxury offered by nature, a royal heritage that she wears with absolute elegance. A face for giants like Vogue or Calvin Klein, she uses her platform to denounce restrictive beauty standards. She has become an ambassador for self-esteem for millions of women around the world who never saw themselves represented in magazines. By affirming that black is beautiful, she does more than just promote her own face. She heals the wounds of an entire generation. Nia Kim teaches us that true royalty lies in the refusal to conform to the expectations of others. Number 6. Ducky Thought, the icon of renewal and the live Barbie. Born in Melbourne to parents who fled the war in South Sudan, Nia Thought, better known as Ducky Thought, grew up in an environment where she found almost no reflection of herself. This cruel lack of representation lit a flame of determination within her. Her participation in the show Australia's Next Top Model in 2013 revealed her to the public, but it was also the stage for difficult moments, where she had to face criticism regarding her skin texture and natural hair. Tired of having to adapt to a system that didn't know how to showcase her, Ducky took a radical decision: to leave for New York. That is where her career exploded. Her perfect skin, her incredibly fine features, and her slender silhouette earned her the nickname Live Barbie. But Ducky is much more than a wax doll. She is an active voice for inclusion in the cosmetic industry. Becoming Rihanna's muse for Fenty Beauty and walking for Victoria's Secret, she proved that diversity is not a passing trend, but a major asset for creative innovation. Ducky Thought uses her journey to build bridges between the dreams of African youth and the reality of high fashion. She reminds us forcefully that cultural heritage is a wealth that can and must shine under the world's spotlights. Number 5. Adut Akech, from survival to absolute glory. Adut Akech's destiny resembles a movie script, but her reality is far more poignant. Her story begins in the dust and uncertainty of the Kakuma refugee camp in Kenya. Born in the midst of turmoil, she learned very early what resilience meant. When she moved to Australia at the age of 13, she carried within her a strength that few teenagers possess. It is this steel spirit, hidden behind a radiant smile, that captivated the greatest designers. In 2018, Adut marked fashion history indelibly. She was chosen by Karl Lagerfeld to close the Chanel Haute Couture show, dressed in an iconic sky blue wedding dress. Being only the second black woman in history to receive this honor sent a powerful message to the entire world. Talent and beauty have no borders, no passports, and do not depend on the conditions of birth. Today, Adut Akech is not content with just dominating the podiums. As a United Nations ambassador, she works actively to improve the lives of refugees around the world. She uses every magazine cover as a platform to remind people that behind every migration statistic, there are human beings with immense dreams. Adut is proof that adversity, if embraced with courage, can become the engine of an ascent toward the stars. Number 4. Slick Woods, the raw power of authenticity. If some icons on this list embody classic grace, Slick Woods is an explosion. Born Simone Thompson in Minneapolis, she had a difficult childhood marked by the absence of her parents and a period of homelessness on the streets of Los Angeles. It is this toughness, this brutal honesty, that made her one of the most influential models of her generation. With her shaved head, her very pronounced diastema, gap teeth, and her numerous tattoos, she shattered traditional beauty standards. Slick Woods does not ask for permission to exist, she imposes herself. She became Rihanna's essential muse for the Savage X Fenty brand, embodying a modern, free, and indomitable woman. We all remember the moment she walked the runway while in active labor with her son, proving that motherhood and feminine power have no limits. Recently, she showed admirable transparency regarding her health problems, notably her battle against cancer. By sharing her vulnerability with the same strength as her confidence on the runway, She reinforced her status as an icon. For Slick, every scar is a medal. Her legacy lies in her ability to tell the world that you don't need to be perfect to be a work of art. Imperfection, according to her, is the highest form of authenticity. Number 3. Galicia Nightingale, the gaze of the Atlantic. Galicia Nightingale is a visual enigma. Originally from Barbados, she possesses an extremely rare genetic characteristic: crystal azure blue eyes on black skin. During her childhood on the island, this singular trait was not perceived as a blessing. On the contrary, it attracted inquisitive stares and mockery, and created a deep sense of isolation. Galicia grew up in the shadows, trying to hide what made her different. Everything changed at the age of 18 when she left the Caribbean for Switzerland. In Europe, her gaze, which had seemed like a burden to her, became her passport to glory. Agencies in London and Paris immediately saw in her a beauty of rare, almost surreal elegance. Galicia learned to transform her oceanic gaze into a symbolic language, a window open to a diverse humanity. Today, she is turning towards cinema, wishing to use her image to amplify messages of respect and tolerance. She no longer wants to be simply the girl with blue eyes, but an actress capable of carrying complex narratives. Her journey shows that context changes everything. What is rejected in one environment can be celebrated as a miracle in another. Galicia encourages everyone to embrace their unique identity, even if the world around us doesn't seem ready to understand it yet. Number 2. Nikia Phoenix, the cutaneous constellation. For a large part of her youth, Nikia Phoenix waged a war against her own face. A Black American woman, she is covered in a multitude of dense freckles. To her, these marks were synonymous with alienation, an anomaly that prevented her from feeling normal. She spent hours trying to camouflage them, seeking a uniformity that was not her own. The turning point occurred in her 20s. By observing her reflection closely, Nikia stopped seeing spots and started seeing a constellation. She understood that her skin was a unique celestial map. This radical change in mindset released incredible creative energy. She founded Black Girl Beautiful, a digital and cultural project dedicated to the celebration of all shades of melanin and natural characteristics. Her authenticity eventually seduced world-renowned brands like Coca-Cola or Target, which were looking for faces capable of speaking directly to people's hearts. Today, Nikia is a respected voice in the field of mental health and self-acceptance. She tirelessly reminds us that uniqueness is not a manufacturing defect, but the very foundation of human value. For Nikia, being beautiful is above all having the courage to be oneself, without filters and without excuses. Number 1. Winnie Harlow, the Symphony of Contrasts. Winnie Harlow is undoubtedly the figurehead of this beauty revolution. Suffering from vitiligo since the age of 4, this young woman from Toronto endured fierce school bullying. She was called a cow or a zebra. These wounds could have broken her, but Winnie decided to use her bicolor skin as a media strike force. She became known through the show America's Next Top Model, where she imposed her magnetic presence. Since then, she has conquered the most prestigious runways, from Fendi to Marc Jacobs, and walked for the famous Victoria's Secret show. Her body is a symphony of contrasts, an abstract work of art that defies classic symmetry. Time magazine even named her among the 100 most influential people in the world, not only for her look, but for her activism. Today, Winnie is an accomplished businesswoman at the head of her own skincare brand. She uses her colossal influence to ensure that future generations do not suffer the same mockery she did. She has transformed what society called a flaw into a universal crown of glory. Winnie Harlow has proven to us that perfection is an obsolete concept, and that true power resides in the ability to wear one's difference with royal pride. Number 11. A moment for unexpected cases. The story of Aminata, the sentinel of sense. Born with an extremely rare nasal characteristic in the heart of the high plateaus, Aminata is perceived as a prodigy by her people. In her community, this singularity is the breath of the earth, a sacred gift allowing her to sense the arrival of monsoons. Wearing her 1,000-colored turban, she carries her heritage with sovereign elegance. Aminata embodies a beauty that defies standards, reminding us that the diversity of Black faces is an infinite spectrum where the exceptional becomes a spiritual force. The story of Bakari, the guardian of whispers. Bakari was born with rare characteristics, blending human traits with a morphology evoking the power of wild fauna. Far from being a pariah, he is the revered protector of ancestral lands. His sharpened ears catch the secrets of the wind, and his canines symbolize his bravery in the face of adversity. Adorned with earth beads and cowrie shells, he represents this indomitable and plural Africa, where every physical difference is celebrated as a living epic, anchored in a deep respect for nature. These journeys illustrate that true beauty resides in radical self-acceptance and the courage to break pre-established molds. By transforming their differences into universal assets, these individuals do not content themselves with merely existing. They inspire all of humanity,